So, what if I told you that your dreams aren't just, random bits of your brain firing off at night? What if they're actual journeys? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and, yeah, kind of wild text that says every single time you fall asleep, you're actually traveling to a real planet somewhere out there in the universe. It's a huge claim, I know. So, let's unpack what's behind it. You've probably heard this quote from Mark Twain before, right? Explore, dream, discover. We usually think of that as a metaphor for living life to the fullest. But the source material we're looking at today, it takes this idea completely, 100% literally. It suggests that dreaming is the ultimate way to explore and discover.
So the big idea is this: space travel isn't just for astronauts and fancy rockets. According to this text, it's something we can all do, an ability we're born with that just kicks in the moment we close our eyes and fall asleep.
And this really is the core question we're being asked to think about. It's a challenge to see our dream worlds, not as some made-up fantasy, but as real, actual places. Energetic copies of other worlds that are just as real as this one. Okay, so let's get into the first major idea of this whole theory. Your dreams are actual planets. And we're not talking about symbolism or psychology here. According to this text, they are literal destinations you travel to. So here's how it's supposed to work. When you're asleep, what the source calls your energy body, you can think of it as your consciousness or your spirit. It kind of detaches and takes a trip. It's automatically drawn to something called a dream replica, which is basically an energy duplicate of a real physical planet. And get this, you're not there alone. You're actually hanging out with the energy bodies of the people who live on that planet, who are also asleep and dreaming. But how does that even work? Why do you always go to one specific planet and not just bounce all over the universe? Well, that brings us to a really key character in this whole cosmic setup. The source gives us a brand new word for this connection, the incarnate. The theory goes that another being, a human from a totally different planet, is energetically linked with you. They've essentially incarnated inside your body, and that's the reason you always dream of the same place. You're visiting their homeworld every night. Yep. To put it simply, the idea here is that we're basically hosts. Our life on Earth is just one of the many lives that our incarnate is living, and our dreams, they're our nightly trip back to their home planet. But this whole dream travel thing isn't just some peaceful exchange program. According to the source, it all has its roots in a secret history, a massive cosmic war that literally shaped the reality that we and millions of other planets are living in. The text claims that up until pretty recently, the whole cosmos was controlled by this powerful group it calls the Karmic Organization. And this wasn't about spiritual justice or anything like that. No, this was supposedly a regime that created a universe full of suffering on a purpose. Things like sickness, poverty, war, and being forced to incarnate over and over again. And the scale of this control was just mind-boggling. The source says this karmic organization had power over 20 million planets, all of them stuck in a difficult existence, a lot like what we see here on Earth. So check this out. This chart really gives you the before and after of this cosmic liberation the source talks about. On one side, you've got the really harsh reality under the karmic organization. And on the other, you see the universe after this organization supposedly fell, a total 180-degree transformation. So what happened after this old oppressive regime fell? Well, according to the text, it wasn't chaos. Instead, a new cosmic administration came in and started what's described as a full-on galactic paradise. And this new administration didn't just bring peace. Nope, it allegedly rebuilt society from the ground up on all 20 million of those planets, turning them from these worlds of struggle into what the source basically calls utopian paradises. And this is where the claims get really specific. The source gives a whole list of these fantastic gifts that were supposedly handed out to every single person. We're talking a brand new, perfectly healthy body, a free high-tech house, new partners for anyone who is single, €1 million or dollars for every adult, and they even say they brought good people who had died back to life. It's a lot. Okay, I know. This all sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But here's the kicker. The text doesn't just ask you to believe any of this. It actually proposes a method for you to go and check it out for yourself. Right. The core challenge here is for you to become a conscious explorer in your own dreams. The idea is that by learning how to become lucid, that moment you realize, hey, I'm dreaming, you can turn your dreams into your own personal laboratory to investigate this new cosmic reality.
And here's the specific technique it recommends. It's pretty simple. First, before you go to sleep, you just keep telling yourself, I will find my hands in my dreams. Then, when you actually see your hands in a dream, you look at them closely. They'll probably look weird or distorted, and that's your trigger to become lucid. From there, you just stabilize the dream by looking from your hands to 4 different objects until everything gets clear.
And why your hands? Well, it's pretty clever. They're always with you, right? In the crazy, ever-changing landscape of a dream, your hands are the one constant thing you can use as a reliable trigger to realize where you are and then take conscious control. So once you're lucid and the dream is stable, the source gives you a kind of verification checklist, a list of specific questions to ask the people you meet. You're supposed to ask for the planet's name, find out what your name is there, and then straight up ask about those fantastic gifts, like the new bodies and the €1,000,000. It even suggests asking if they know Sino, who's the author of the text we're talking about. In the end, whether you look at this as a literal guide to cosmic travel or just a really cool thought experiment, it definitely taps into that deep human drive that Carl Sagan talked about, that desire to wander, to explore, and to figure out our place in the universe. And that really leaves us with one final thought. This source material lays out this incredibly detailed, wild story about the cosmos, and then invites you to go test it. But even beyond all that, it brings up a really powerful question for all of us. If you could ask one single question in a dream and know you'd get a true answer, what would you ask?